Welcome to the 2018 Africa Innovation Summit.
Basically, when we talk of innovation, I'm going to keep it short and down to 3 points. Governments, more regulation or less regulation. To the youth, the innovators out there, we need to work in teams. It's a big opportunity, and we can only take this opportunity together as a team. And as well as the case of Africa's development, if we're going to answer questions of youth development, youth employment, Africa's future, capital flight, this can only be achieved through enterprise. So the innovations that we have here in this room should be translated to tomorrow's big business, tomorrow's captains of industry that can in turn employ our youth and provide more tax dollars for Africa's development. So when I begin to speak of government, there's no point in us youth innovating if we can't have local funding to basically bring our products to market. So we ask our governments to basically look at the regulations that they place on financial institutions, your banks, your pension funds, your provident funds, and your asset managers. Do we really allow them to invest in innovations, to invest in startups, to take risk on the youth? Do we have laws in place that have got a local venture capital community? We have a lot of innovators in the room that may go and seek venture capital from the West, from Europe, or from Asia. What about money here on the continent? Local innovations can only be local if the benefits are realized in Africa. We need to have a generation of businesses that are funded locally with local resources so that we retain capital flight and so that we can also build Africa's future. And then to my fellow innovators out there, events like AIS are important for you to establish partnerships. Partnerships in two senses. If you've got similar innovations in health, bring those innovations together to create scale. Don't go to a DBSA, Africa Exim Bank, Africa Development Bank, and ask for 3 million. Go to them and ask for 30 million, for 300 million. But you can only do that if you work together. Work with other partners in other countries. Take your innovations to different markets. And let's be quite frank. As innovators, we're not exactly the best entrepreneurs, right? We know how to design a system, how to solve a problem. But do we know how to create a business? So let's take the example of successful partnerships and innovations that changed the world. Look at the Rockefeller Foundation. Rockefeller partnered with Cornelius Vanderbilt. Cornelius Vanderbilt gave him concessionary rates for transporting his oil. Rockefeller filled his trains with oil. Look at Thomas Edison in my industry, electricity. He had a fantastic invention, but if it wasn't for J.P. Morgan that made it into a business, we wouldn't have electricity today. Look at Nikola Tesla, who invented electricity, but the AC type of electricity. He had George Westinghouse, an entrepreneur. So if we look at these people today, they changed the way we live today. And right now, because of their enterprise and innovation and working together with other entrepreneurs, we're sitting in here and they've funded the Africa Innovation Summit. So in closing, what would I like to see? I would hope to see that game-changing innovations that will be showcased during this summit, when we go to next year, they will lead to financial closure. It would be good if we meet again next year and say, look, of the 50 innovations that we showcased in AIS 2008, come 2009, 25 went to market, and probably 10 or 15 are successful businesses. If you look at my industry, electricity, and this is why I always stress the point of local innovations for us by us. The largest IPP in Africa is Globelec, which is 70% owned by CDC Group and the remaining owned by Norfund. We've got a fantastic opportunity to solve Africa's energy problems, but how many IPPs or innovators or businesses out there are locally driven as Africans, or most importantly, are driven by the youth? So think about it to our leaders sitting in front. 20 years from now, how will you explain to us when most of us innovators, our employees, instead of the entrepreneurs driving the development of our continent. In closing, these are my words. Thank you very much for having me, and I wish all the entrepreneurs or innovators the best of luck.
Welcome to the 2018 Africa Innovation Summit.